Hello, everyone. My name is Ray, and I am the host of Survivors and Parents of Murdered Children, the podcast. I'd like to tell you right now I had the opportunity to speak to four of the members of the POMC, the Parents of Murdered Children, a meeting that takes place every other Wednesday every month. And this past month was no different. And I had the opportunity, like I said, to speak to Deb, the chapter leader, Raquel, Roy, and Michelle. And what you're about to hear is their true story accounts of what happened to their loved ones, to their family members, and how they were murdered. This also serves as a trigger warning if there's listeners out there who are sensitive to murder and the details of it and the emotions. And, folks, this show is recorded live. There's a lot of things that are said and a lot of things that could affect people in any kind of way. So please let this be your warning. And I don't really want to take up too much of your time on this intro other than to welcome you to the Survivors and Parents of Murdered Children, the podcast. And I hope you join us at least once a month when I drop a new episode after each meeting. And we cover all sorts of subjects, government, voting, you name it. Unfortunately, murder, the details of it. And we'll go on a case-by-case basis because everybody who speaks to me is at a different phase. Like I myself, you'll hear here in the podcast that I achieved court justice, and I've sat through the trial of my son's murder. And I sat through everything. And like I said in the podcast, it was a personal thing for me to assert myself and know that I was tougher than the person who did these horrible things to my son. So without any further ado, let's get into it. My name is Ray. This show is the SAPOMC. It's the Survivors and Parents of Murdered Children. And here we are after the Parents of Murdered Children on Wednesday, February the 12th. And like I said, I just wanted to treat this more like an extension of the meeting where we can speak more freely because, there's some limitations on political things and things like that. But unfortunately, we find ourselves in a situation where, politics and voting things in and things like that are always a process here, especially in California. So, like I said, my name is Ray. My son, Dean, was murdered September 11th of 2020. He was picked up from a hotel in Murrieta. He was given a Xanax pill to put him to sleep. And then he was taken by a driver, Carlos Alvarez. And I'm going to say these names, and people can omit those names or any kind of details they'd like to. My case has actually gone to court justice, so I feel confident in naming names. So Carlos Alvarez came to pick up my son, along with Miguel Ochoa, who were staying all at the same hotel in Murrieta. And they drove him to, interestingly enough, right past the Scientology compound off of Highway 79 near Gilman Springs Road. And they proceeded to Miguel Ochoa, got out of the passenger seat, and shot my son in the backseat who was slumped over sleeping. Shot him 6 times. The last bullet was the fatal one that guaranteed that he would pass. And then they dragged him out of the car as he was bleeding out, about 15 feet. And they left him on a berm at the side of the road. Let's see. So, interestingly enough, this whole crime was caught on video from beginning to end because they were at a hotel in Murrieta, and the video, I sat through the trial. So I watched the video of my son being escorted into the backseat of a car. Interestingly enough, like I said already, they took him to near the Church of Scientology compound, and if you know anything about the Scientology compound, they have a very elaborate security system. In fact, it's so elaborate that they have license plate readers that are on all their cameras. So these idiots decided to drive by the Church of Scientology complex once, twice, then a third time, causing the security guards on site to take great interest in what was happening by this car driving by so erratically 3 times that they then zoomed in on it as it pulled over at Gilman Springs Road and Highway 79. The whole murder was caught on video. The shots, you couldn't see anything. It is suspected that Miguel Ochoa put a silencer on the gun. The 2 guns that were used to kill my son were what's called ghost guns. Those are guns that usually have no serial number on them, or they can be printed guns, created. So I sat through the trial. Like I've said here before, I sat through the pathology, and I like to say that I spoke to the devil himself, and thank God that the prosecutor in Riverside County, the district attorney, Barrett, and the judge Freer allowed me to directly speak to Miguel Ochoa. That's the only trial I attended. I really didn't care to attend the driver's trial. It just, he wasn't the gunman, he wasn't the shooter, and he wasn't, insignificant. So I did sit through Miguel Ochoa's, and I gave an impact statement, and I'm glad that I was able to directly speak to Miguel Ochoa. And I said his name several times, and I would look at him. And during pathology, I remember the images of my son up on the top left-hand huge screen and little monitors in front of the district attorney and the prosecutor and the defense attorney. And not once did that guy look at those images. And I say to this day, it's a personal thing for me to have been able to sit there and look at the pictures that this guy couldn't even look at. It's a selfish thing because I feel stronger than him. He wasn't able to look at his work, but I was. I was able to face that reality. He wasn't. I know how much it bothered him just by watching him. The 2 times that we had eye contact, he looked down immediately, but I didn't. It made me feel stronger. I found him to be a pitiable man, truly pitiable. And like we spoke here today at the POMC, I'll never forgive evil. And that man was evil. He is a career criminal. He had a rap sheet 20 years long. Identity theft. Another thing that sticks out is robbery with a handgun. I mean, these are career criminals to me. They're the scum of the earth. And to address what you said, I will never forgive evil because I don't understand it. I'm nothing like them. I will never be anything like them. And I cannot be that perfect. So I hope that helps you in some way. It does. So I'd like to present this podcast in a way to where people can maybe educate others who haven't experienced this, or maybe some of those who are on the fence about even attending a POMC meeting or any kind of support group. Because I've been here for 2 years, and I have found my fortress of solitude here. And this is where I can, like I said in my speech last year, I can sit with the other Bruce Waynes and listen to their story and completely know that I may not know you personally, Michelle. I may not know you personally, Rochelle or Raquel, whatever it is today. But I know you, and I know you too, because we've all shared the same emotions, the same things that brought us here. So I hope that you guys will join me on this journey, and I hope that this is easy to listen to, first of all. I'm getting over a little bit of some sickness, so I sound like a weirdo. But at this point, I have one guest, Michelle, who is in a different process of it, and she's going through the court process, if you will. And I'm going to let her introduce herself however she'd like to and present whatever she'd like to.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me.
There you go.
I'm a little nervous.
Of course.
I'm not going to lie. I've never done anything like this before. I've talked about it before, but I feel like it's so raw. I don't know, the emotions, and I like how well, not like, but you gave us a visual. Like, I felt like I was in that story, and so I thank you for sharing.
Of course.
For me, so my brother was murdered my name is Michelle Cardosa. My brother is Julio Moises Cardosa, and he was murdered on May 25th, 2022 by David Blake Jr. That is, some people may know him, some people not, but DJ Quick's son. We are currently in the court process, so I don't want to get into too many details of where it's at the moment. We're in the middle of pretrial. My brother was in his home, tell you a little, and the father of my son also had something to do with it as well, bringing this. Can I call him a scumbag?
I just did too.
Okay. This scumbag to my parents' home with my son in the car. And a fight broke out between the father of my son and my brother. And not to get into too many details, my parents were there, my son was there, and this person, this scumbag, David Blake Jr., decided to use his gun that he had on and to kill my brother while my mom was right next to him. My brother dropped, and he basically died in my mother's arm. I could remember my mom saying that as she was holding her son, that his eyes were rolling back, and she remembers seeing his life his soul just gone, and she was trying to revive him. And when, my mother, I'm still traumatized when my mom calls me. I was at home on my way to the gym, and she gives me a call, and she's like, and she said it in Spanish, "Vente, le dieron un balazo a tu hermano." And I'm like, who? What? Like, what? I was so, what would have taken me maybe 20 minutes, I got there in 6 minutes. Ran all the red lights to get to to my parents' house. And I remember when I got off the car, I stopped. I saw the police, and I saw the ambulance working on my brother. And I was like, it was like I felt like slow motion, It was like in a dream. I couldn't run fast enough. When you have those dreams where you're like running and you're not going anywhere. And I remember going towards my brother. He was being worked on, and I was like, what? And then I saw the father of my son to the left, and I just saw red, So, yeah, I just ran towards him, I think I kicked him. I don't know. I don't remember. But I remember seeing my brother, and then I remember seeing the yellow tape, and I was like, that's not good, And it's just like an out-of-body experience, But we're still in, there's so many other things in between that we had to go through during that time that I look back, I'm like, I just, who's that person, that person? I'm no longer the person that I was before. I feel, I don't know, it's just because I'm going through the trial and because the person has money, he was able to post bail. So the day we buried my brother, he posted bail, and he's been out for the last 2.5 years. So I wouldn't say patiently waiting, but I don't have a choice for justice for my brother. He was minding his business. He was at home. They came to him. I always say the devil came knocking at my parents' door. And my brother was at home, barely bought some chicken dinner for my parents, had called my mom. Oh, tenemos pollo. Oh, okay. And my parents were already on their way, and we never got to eat. They never got to eat that chicken dinner, like his favorite. And we have not gone back since. And I know it's like maybe trivial, but it's those little things, those little details that we used to enjoy with him, we can't do anymore. So I'm here. I'm so grateful that I'm part of Parents of Murdered Children. When everything happened, I was holding on for dear life for resources to help my parents and my son because he witnessed it. And when I came across organizations, like Parents of Murdered Children and other organizations, I felt like I had a home, a family, a place where I can talk about it and, people understand what I'm going through, because your family doesn't understand. Yes, they feel the loss, but they don't feel
a lot of times they'll shut down the conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
Nobody wants to talk about it.
Nobody. They don't want to come over. They don't want to come see my mom, and it makes me so sad, So all we have is each other and the people that understand what we're going through, because nobody does, So I'll probably share more next time. I just want to make sure, we're in the pre-trial phase. I'm hoping soon this year that bastard goes to jail and he'll really suffer. Because, can I say something? Can I cuss?
Of course you can. There's no censor here.
Because I feel like he's just a little bitch, He just, yeah. So, and it's infuriating, because the person, his dad is a sub rapper or whatever, they're out there. I can see him on social media. They're out there, the concerts. He's out there, bobbing his head.
Yeah, just having a great time.
Oh, yeah. Yes, basically. Exactly. Like having a great time, going to football games while my mother suffers, My my greatest pain is my mother. Seeing her pain without her son is just insufferable, I feel the pain, my only sibling, I feel like I raised him, he was 9 years younger than me, but when I see my mom, that's what hurts me the most. Like, her pain hurts me. I can't even describe it, But thank you for, having this. It's a long time coming.
It is. I've been planning to do this for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the story. So maybe I'll share a little bit more as we go along with this. And
yeah. And I always say, like, every time I hear everybody's story, that was pretty bad, and the last one was bad enough. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's what is different between someone who dies naturally and someone who dies by murder.
It's an added layer of trauma that nobody could understand, because they're like, when they ask me, "Oh, what happened with your brother?" I'm like, I can't say he passed away. I'm like, no, he was murdered. Like, he didn't pass away. He didn't have a choice. Somebody made that choice for him, and that's enraging.
Someone decided to stand in front of him, be judge, jury, and executioner, and take it upon themselves.
Yeah, take his life at 33 years old.
And Raquel said something earlier, and I wanted to say something. You said someone had said to you, well, I'm sure they didn't suffer. Well, I can tell you right now that I'm pretty sure everybody who's murdered has the most fear they've ever experienced in life for that split second. That has got to be the worst moment in someone's life. It has to be, because they're not in control of it. There's no disease process. There's no reality. There's no time to catch up. They don't have any time. It's done right there. In some cases, behind the back. Some cases, execution style. In my son's case, they drugged him. I don't know if I want to thank God for that or not, because I know maybe he was probably really asleep. But then I got my answer, and I sat through the trial. And what the district attorney says happened is that my son was shot twice in the legs. He put his arm up to protect himself. Shot twice in the arm, and the last one was in the head because of the trajectory of the bullets. And then these dirtbags decided that they were going to take that white VW Jetta through a car wash and pressure wash my son's blood out of the back seat.
Wow.
So, yeah. And every year on September 11th, I go, like my little Bruce Wayne would, and go place a rose right exactly where he died. And I sit there and I talk to him. And that's what I do. And that's how I handle it every year, aside from the POMC. And right now I want to take the opportunity to put a plug in for the Parents of Murdered Children in Orange County. And
Yes.
what's the website? I always forget it.
GOCPOMC.
What is it?
GOC.
GOCPOMC.org. GOCPOMC.org. And that's where anybody who is listening to this and wants to attend a meeting can go and see what the schedule is in your own city or your own county. Or actually, for us, it's just Orange County, but this is a national thing. So you can go on the national website. That's how I did it. I went to national, and I was directed here. So, it took me a while to come here.
It's really, for me, it was just because I'm like I want to do research. I want help. I want the resources, but not everybody does that, and, I would not have found POMC without me just that desperation for resources, for help. I don't even know what I was looking for, but I know I needed it. And I know I needed it for myself so I can be that anchor and that strength for my parents and my son. And that's what POMC has done for me,
Yeah, I learned about it. I was in therapy, I think a year after. And I would put another plug in there for Lynn Palmer. She's a 78-year-old woman and the wisest person I've ever met in my life. Mm. And I was lucky enough to run into her as a therapist. And I don't know if I should be saying this enough, but we talk personally, and she calls me. And I have that kind of therapy with her. That's and awesome. I'm so grateful for it. But she's the one who said, she was so honest with me. And she said, Ray, I can't help you. She said, I know who can, though. You need to go to the POMC. She's like, I don't know exactly where to go, but it's POMC. It's Parents of Murdered Children. And I was very reluctant. I thought, I'm going to be very vulnerable right now, okay? And I thought I was going to walk into a hen house and just, well, what's this guy doing here? But then I saw Roy, and I learned their story. And I saw a couple other gentlemen who aren't here right now. But I think the very first meeting I came to, I thought, this is exactly what I need. Yeah. And I've been here ever since. And I'll never leave. And this is my therapy now.
Right.
This is my way of trying to treat myself. Yeah. For a selfish reason, I'm trying to treat myself. Because even my therapist said she couldn't do it.
Well, that's an awesome therapist.
She's amazing.
Will milk it.
She's amazing. She's 78 years old, and she's still practicing.
Yeah. I need her number.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's in Fullerton, Fullerton Behavioral Studies, I think it's called. I'm probably getting that very wrong. But we're live as heck, folks. Right. So at this point, after we've heard one bad story after the other, if anybody would like to share anything about their process, about what the POMC means to them, and what they get out of it, this is the avenue for that. This is the avenue to reach others who are not here, who may never come here, but they might be in search of something, and maybe this one thing is the thing. So we have several people here.
Deborah?
I see. We have an audience here of a few from the Parents of Murdered Children meeting. Rochelle. Or Raquel. No, you are Raquel. Lovingly, I call you Rochelle.
Raquel, it's okay. So my name's Raquel. My niece was murdered August 3rd of 2020. It was a domestic violence case. She was going about her business that day, and her supervisor left work early. They were having some type of issue at work, I guess you could say. So she said, if you're leaving, I'm leaving. So she leaves home. She goes home. She goes to grab something. We don't know what it was. And she walks into her house. Her boyfriend's there. His name is Anthony McGeezy. And whatever transpired that day, he decided to get his gun, make sure there was a round in there to do what he did. She was in the hallway. And as you said, Ray, likely she realized that she was going to die. So she had fear, I'm sure. And he shot her and continued to fire at her. And unfortunately, it was all in her face. So definitely to me, that was a personal message to her. And he agreed to a plea deal. And we finally got this plea deal done. And he agreed to a second-degree murder, which is 15 to life, 4 years for the gun enhancement, and then all the time that he has served in jail since he murdered her, which was on the 3rd of August. He is not going to get credit for that time. It's not enough time for me, but he'll finally be able to do some prison time once he's sentenced in March.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Where exactly is he at? There's state prison and...
So right now he's at the Pitchness Correctional Facility in...
But that's not state, right? Or,
that is in Santa Clarita.
okay. Then they are moved.
Then he'll be moved.
He'll be moved. Okay,
Yeah.
so-
Where he's going to be moved to, I don't know.
That's my understanding. After they're convicted, they go into the federal, or not the federal, but the state prison
Right.
system.
And that's rough, I heard.
So there's like city jail, there's county jail, and then there's prison.
Right.
You know.
Right. So
well, it'll
once-
get rougher for him. So, yeah.
We'll see how rough it gets. I'm not sure. To me, any kind of roughness he's going to get, it's not going to be enough.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, it's
due
never enough.
to, and, from me trying to medicate myself after, coping with the fact that Charlene was murdered. I went a couple of years just trying to self-medicate myself with alcohol and going through changing into a different person, having anger. And hatred, trying to find out what happened, why. So finally being able to sit with the district attorney's office and reviewing information that they had, for what may have caused his actions to do what he did, murdering her. It doesn't answer it. He's the only one that has the answer to what may have transpired that day and why he would have went for his gun and did what he did. The detective as well, reaffirmed to me that he doesn't have an answer because no one knows.
Right.
She just came home and crap happened. But I agree, he was a very selfish person. I don't care how much alcohol was in his system. Some people may believe that is what caused him to possibly might have, as they say, snapped. But it takes a conscious act to reach for that gun and then to ensure there's a round in the chamber
Right.
and then to unjam the gun and continue to fire.
Lots of stop signs passed.
Yeah, there's a lot. But definitely POMC, coming here, and I was very hesitant. I didn't know what to expect. And then listening to everyone and being able to be vocal and expressive of myself, which I tend to be very vocal, it helps me. I look forward to it. It's my healing process.
Yeah.
This is it's a family I didn't know I was going to be part of. And I am glad that they are here. I'm grateful for everyone that's here, because without you guys, I don't know what I would do. I would just be a pent-up, angry, vicious person. But I do have hatred. I have hatred and rage for two people, and that's Anthony himself and his father. And it will always be that way until my last breath. So I will never, every time I speak of her and domestic violence, all I can say is if anyone is going through domestic violence and any of your family and any of your friends, you reach out to them. Don't be ashamed. They will support you. And even if you go back, they will always be there for you if they are true to being someone that wants to help you.
Right.
I'm not saying that, my niece, she was a very private person, but I really truly believe that she did not see this coming. I don't think that their relationship was volatile enough to believe that he would do this to her. I mean, I think it was what I found out that they may have suspected each other of cheating on each other. But I do know that there was a great time for them. That I guess when he purchased the firearm, it was unbeknownst to her mom. But she was extremely excited to go to the shooting range with him. And I found out with the detective, I saw the video. She was extremely excited. And I asked the detective if I could have the photo, a screenshot of her carrying the little target. And she's ahead of him and all this. And it's weird for me to even say that was a very happy moment for her. That was a good time for them. There was only a few days, I think it was a few days or a week before this happening. So it's like, what happened? But his time is not enough, and I hope when he gets in prison, when I do make my statement, I may say some words to him, but I do hope when he gets to prison that it's 100,000 times worse than whatever he put my niece through.
Right.
And it's still not going to be enough. Because
I don't think it'll ever be enough, really.
No, he did a selfish act. He should have just walked away. Stepped outside and took a deep breath or
Right.
something. Because she didn't deserve that. She was too good of a person. I know we all say that about our loved
No,
one.
they are. I mean,
But that she was way too understanding and precious and too, to get out of the blackness that he was in, whatever trauma he went through. I'm not, dismissing the trauma he went through. I think we all go through trauma. But we take forward steps in pushing that behind us, and I think that's what she tried to do with him, but he just wanted to fester in his black hole.
some people do that. A lot of people actually do that.
Right.
That's what I think he wanted to do. And now he can go fester in the black hole in prison
Yeah.
with someone else.
Right.
That's going to torture him.
Yeah.
Have a fantastic life.
Don't
there.
drop the soap. You said something. Can I kind of?
Of
piggyback?
course.
Something about his mom, that you or who it was two people. That,
Oh, so his mother is like an alcoholic. So I'll probably get in trouble if someone said, "Oh," but yeah, his mother is an alcoholic, so he has that alcoholic blame he could use for her, and then his father, and it's court. It's recorded in court. His father is a domestic abuser, so he was in prison for a couple of years for doing torturous things to his girlfriend. So we have that as for him to use, like, oh, I was beaten. Look, again, I'm not trying to dismiss people being abused or anything, but there's a lot of people in life that succeed in life without continuing the cycle.
right.
Well, that's when you said something about people suffering trauma and things like that, and I always say this, your first thought is always free. It's what you do as a follow-up thought
Right.
that makes you accountable for who you are.
Exactly.
Because we've all been in that situation where you're like, man, I wish I could, and enter whatever derogatory thing you want to say after that. But what you do with the follow-up thought is what makes you, what defines you.
Right.
So he went beyond the first free thought, and he went on to the second thought. And he said, this is still okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Those people are not like us, not like me, not like you, not like you.
No.
They are truly evil. And like I said earlier in the meeting, I will never forgive evil. It's nothing like me. I am not perfect, but that is not any better. That's worse.
Yeah. That's what I say, that they're very, very selfish because it's only what they want.
Right.
And they for him, I believe he needed to make a statement, and he did this conscious act, and he did what he wanted to do. I seen Charlene's photos.
Well, from what you said, I don't mean to interrupt you, but from what you said, he came out and tried to wash his hands in the whole thing.
Yeah, he
wasn't that drunk.
no, no.
He wasn't that drunk.
No. There's things that he said that is, I can speak more of it once he gets sentenced.
Sure.
I'd rather do that. But yeah, there's things that he said that he was very conscious of what he did. He knew what he did. Yeah.
Right.
It was all about him afterwards.
Yep.
It was all about him. Like, I don't want this to happen to me. Please, 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 but nothing about, hey, go in the house. Sure, I did something horrible.
Yeah, they sure plead, don't they?
He never said. And again, when he accepted the plea deal, the judge asked him, do you understand everything that has been read to you? And, he pled no contest to the second-degree murder and everything else. And he said, yeah, I feel like I'm starting over. This guy actually still thinking of himself.
What a thing to say.
And
I feel like I'm starting over.
So all this time I've been in jail, now I got to start over with my time again. That's what he's thinking. And I, if I could have, I would smack him in the back of the head saying, you have a chance to start over. This
Right.
is what these people don't get, and that's the thing about us is our time has stopped. Our moment our family moment with Charlene, that was the end. That's it. He gets to continue to breathe and live and eat and, do whatever he wants in jail, even though he's in his little 4x. He still gets an education. He still gets to talk to his family. He still gets to see the sun. He gets to feel the sun on him. We don't.
And he's in a yellow suit,
Yeah.
so he's going to be treated differently.
Charlene is forever 20. And then the last pictures and images we have of her is 20. And, she doesn't get older. We have to envision her older. We have to try and figure out what she would have been, how she would be. Her nieces, that traditional wisdom doesn't continue anymore because it ended with her. I gave her my life experiences, and I still have more to give her. Hers ended. And so that family tradition is gone. That's what he took from us. And it's been it's still continue a nightmare, because you think of her, you want to call her, you want to talk to her, you just want to see her, and you can't. It's so, it's a hard thing to do to get through, but we get through it. We take one step at a time.
I attend church, really briefly, Deb, before I introduce you. I am in no hurry. Okay. I attend church. I'm coming out. But this last sermon that I saw, the pastor put up on a dry erase board, all these emotions that are surrounding depression, right? Solitude and all these other things. He did something so cool with this word depression. He rearranged the letters and it said, I pressed on. You see? So unfortunately, that's what the step we're stuck in. We recognize, like myself, diagnosed, depressive disorder, right? We recognize that you can either let that ball sink you, or you can hold it up and try your best and press on.
That's right.
That was the strongest sermon I've heard in so long, because the wordplay was, I didn't even see I pressed on, but when he did it, I thought, why didn't I see that? It's right there.
Yeah.
There's the answer.
Yeah. That's true.
So at this point, I'd like to pivot over to, we have Deb, who's stepped up to a microphone here, and she is the head of the Orange County. She's a chapter leader of the Orange County Parents of Murdered Children. And she's been a rock for me for 2 years, and I'm sure for a great many others, because you're so vulnerable in the way you speak, so honest, and so approachable that it makes people want to come here, I think. So I'd like to introduce Deb, and if you could pull just a little bit closer to the mic. There you go. Okay. So go ahead and introduce yourself however you'd like. Speak about your case however you'd like. And go.
Okay. So, yes, I am the current chapter leader of Parents of Murdered Children. I walked into the room 3 weeks after my son was murdered. there was a woman that somehow or another was at the church, at the Rosary, and she handed me a card, and I'm not knowing what it was or anything like that, and I didn't even know who she was. In fact, I was like quite annoyed at the fact that she was insistent on giving me a card. And so she said, just take it and keep it, and promise you'll keep it, promise you'll keep it. And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, whatever. So I just put it in my back pocket. So, after the rosary, the funeral, everybody's there, and then everybody leaves, right? And you're left alone. You're left alone to pick up the pieces of whatever's left. And I found the card, and so we paid phone tag a little bit, and then I finally ended up getting a phone call back, and they said that they were going to be having a meeting. And the first meeting that I came to was not a meeting. It was a potluck, which you've attended.
Yes.
So when I walked into the room, I saw these people smiling and having a good time, and it was Christmas for them. And I wanted to scream and yell and going, what are you doing? Don't you know my son was murdered, and I'm here to get help, and this is what's going on. But there was the most loving, just wonderful human beings. Gave me a jacket. I was freezing, brought me food, introduced me to different mothers, fathers, just everybody. And the evening, was nice, as I guess it could be. And then I left, and we got in the car, and my husband and I said, that was our first introduction to parents of murdered children. We went back the following month, and I can't understand why it takes a month for a meeting when I think you need so much more. You need somebody to reach out to. I mean, it's 18 years now, so I get it. But at the time, you're just wanting that human touch, that compassion, understanding from somebody that can relate to you and not tell you that everything's going to be all right, because it's never going to be all right. It's going to be different. I've heard the term new normal, and there's nothing new and there's nothing normal about.
There's nothing normal about this.
Not at all. And it never will be.
Right.
We can try to find some joy in your life after the aftermath, and that's what we are. We're the aftermath of what's left of what we had, what we thought we had. We're forever changed. I'm not the same woman that my husband married. I'm not the same mother. I'm not the same person. But I won't lose my identity. I'm myself first, and then Jonathan's mother. So the circumstances behind his murder is that it's unsolved. It was in Santa Ana. I have not had great experiences with law enforcement. They say most cases are solved maybe when they bargain with somebody gets a conscience. But I also feel if it was worthwhile, they'd find him. I think
Right.
they profile. He was 6'1". I don't like the way they say wrong place, wrong time. We all hear that,
That's very wrong.
right?
It's wrong to even say that. We've all been in weird places at weird times.
Oh, yeah.
That's not the wrong place, wrong time.
It makes them feel better.
Sure.
So I have two sons. One's tall. Well, he was 6'1", bald-headed, dark skin. My other son is light skin, blonde hair. He could walk the streets at 1:30 and he would never get stopped, ever. Actually, he was smoking pot and they brought him home in the highway patrol. And they said, we caught him smoking pot, blah, blah, blah. I said, if that would have been my son, the dark one, my husband calls him Salt and Pepper, I would have been at the police station picking him up. It's just, the racial profiling, demographics, all that comes into play.
Of course.
So, so I turned to POMC. There's a lot of families here that don't have justice. There are families that have court justice, and we know that it doesn't mean a damn thing. It doesn't. It doesn't give us our loved one back. You still have anxiety. I remember they said sometimes a marriage doesn't end like in the first couple years, that maybe it's like, could be 9 or 10 years. My husband asked me what that meant one time. And I said, we still have a few good years together.
Huh.
I was joking, of course. But it breaks up marriages. It destroys your health, your finances, your friendships with your family.
Yeah.
It just, there's so many facets that happens,
Sure. I think that's true with every one of our stories, too. I think that's absolutely true. I think your own family are the people you can't really talk to about this. Because like I said, when people die of natural causes, you regale each other in the stories, and you remember the good times. And like I've seen it so many times before, the second you bring up murder, it's over. The conversation is over.
It's like when they die, right? Everybody's around you.
Yeah,
And then
of course.
afterwards, there's no one. There's no warm meals. There's no phone calls. It's like they want you to be better. So they've all moved on, and they want to know why haven't you?
Right.
You're not
Yeah.
going to.
This is our normal.
Right?
Right.
Our meetings.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
every time somebody walks through the door, we embrace them, we love them, we know the journey ahead. And we're actually really happy that they found us, because nobody should take the journey alone.
Yes. The journey alone is, man, do you imagine not being able to talk to anybody about this and being stuck in your own head with these thoughts all the time? And I call them, it's called intrusive thoughts. That's another reason why the POMC is so beneficial, because you get to control your intrusive thoughts once a month, but you still get to let it out to play. You still get to control it and control what is said, what you communicate, how you emote, how you have these feelings.
Well, we've talked about our feelings a little bit today when I told you
Yes?
that my son was shot in the back.
Yes?
And I didn't know that for 6 months, and I was told not to say anything about it. And after I found out, I'm like, well, why wouldn't I say anything about it? It's 18 years now, right? So now the anger, and now whatever you're telling me not to say, I don't care, I'm going to say it. My son was shot in the back by cowards.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
Absolutely.
And you're going to say whatever you want to say, but coroner's report don't lie, reports don't lie, but I have been lied to by the very people that I thought were going to help me.
And the system is slanted to
A little bit.
the person of interest in the crimes, where murder is committed. I found that out in my kid's trial. I find it interesting that the defense has provided all the discovery, every piece of information, all of it, addresses, names, things like that, sensitive things.
And they protect that too.
And
right?
they're protected. But the victims' families don't have access to that. If you wanted to, you would have to subpoena these records, and if they wanted to, they could provide them to you. It's really at their discretion. But the dirtbags, the scumbags who committed these murders, get to have everything, all the details. That's bothersome to me. So we have Roy here, who's taking a seat behind the microphone. And he's been a member of the POMC for a great many years. And Roy, you're one of the reasons why I stayed here. Okay.
Well, I appreciate that.
I appreciate you, man. I really do. And I said I said this podcast we would cry, we'd laugh together. So I think that's the second one to start crying here. So please introduce yourself however you'd like, and talk about your case however you'd like.
Okay. My name is Roy Jenkins, and it'll be 17 years in October 15th that my children were murdered. I say my children because my only daughter and her husband, a Marine sergeant, were murdered in their own home. So when people say that they were in the wrong place at the wrong time,
That doesn't apply.
no,
Not in the lightest.
no. But as I said, they had the trial, and as a matter of fact, we had 2 trials because there were 4 defendants, so they couldn't try them all together. And we supposedly got justice, but to me, I will never feel that it's justice until the scum are gone. And I know my wife shares the same sentiments as I do, but it took a long time for me to come to grips with everything, because my every waking thought was how could I get to these animals that took my daughter and my son-in-law's life. And the only thing that kept me sane was picking up a Bible, starting to read the Bible. A lot of people blame God for what has happened to their loved ones. I don't blame God. I blame the people who did this unspeakable act. I've been with POMC for quite a few years now. I believe it's something like 16, maybe years. Yeah. And this is the only place that I can come to where people understand what I'm going through. If you've never had someone murdered, then you cannot possibly understand what the people here in this group are going through. I'm not going to get into the specifics of my case or anything, but it's hard. And we'll never be the same. And I miss my daughter and my son-in-law every day.
Thanks, Roy.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much to everybody who even joined me on this journey today. This has been a long time coming, and I've had several roadblocks, but I pressed on, and we are here now. And we will be recording at least once a month here at these meetings to extend. When I first joined this meeting, I thought there's a meeting after the meeting
Oh, yeah.
every time.
This is it.
So let's do it here. And let's have the moment where you can hopefully reach out to someone in a loving way and educate them and try to get them into some sort of treatment, some sort of therapy, whether it's listening to this show or going into a POMC meeting or going to a therapist. But this is the best place to come because this is a very unique way of losing anyone. And the rules don't apply to this. Nothing is the same. And we all suffer. Like I said, Roy, I didn't know you when I met you, but I knew you. And I knew Deb too, because I know she's thought the same thing I did. I know we're thinking the same thing. So we have an unfortunate commonality that I also like to say, that we are members of this so
elite group. I mean, it's a group that no one wants to belong to, but
Exactly.
you had no choice.
No one wants to belong to this group, but we all paid the ultimate cover price to be here. And this is a privilege to me, to be able to share things with others who might need it. It's a selfish thing for me. I might be able to reach out to someone and get them to come to a meeting or at least listen to the show. Mm-hmm. It's a selfish thing to me. It makes me personally feel good to.
Didn't you say it's up to us?
And I always say it's up to us. No one's going to do this for you. And another reason for this show is because this story is already out there. Your story is out there. Your story is out there.
Yeah.
Everyone's story is out there. I found one article in Las Vegas about my son's murder. I know my son's story is out there in some fashion. So I'm going to tell the story, and I'm sure I'll speak at length later. I have a lot of demons with my kid. We did not have the greatest relationship when he was murdered. In fact, one of the last text messages I got from him was, "I know you weren't there when I was born. You're not really my father." I was there when he was born. I have a videotape of it. Okay? So there's a lot of things that I'd like to get off my chest in due time. And I think this is a great avenue for me to be very vulnerable. And maybe, go fishing for people who might need the same kind of answers. Because when you're out there by yourself experiencing this, my own therapist said it, I don't have any answers for you.
We help each other.
But I have found answers here. And I attend the meetings. And that's my reason for it. And I'm so glad that Michelle, Deb, Roy, Raquel,
Yeah.
Rochelle.
Yes, we've all found a family here. It's family.
It's exactly that. And I think with that, we're going to wrap it up. I'd like to thank everybody for doing this. I hope that more people show up next meeting and would like to sit down with me and talk about anything and everything. There's no script, there's no format here. It's just a free-flowing conversation. Whatever you want to say, let's put it out there.
Yes.
Let's name names, like Gascon,
Ooh. Yeah.
for example.
Let's drop the names. Let's talk about it.
Things like that. I appreciate your time. I know this is late. It's 9:44. We're usually done a lot earlier. But I love you all,
Thank you.
and I respect you all.
Thank you.
And I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.